November and December makes today. In my last video, which was my sewing plans video for these 2 months, I told you I was planning to make 6 things. 3 blouses, 1 blazer, a sweater and a bag. However, I only managed to create one of these things, which is one of the blouses. Today I've got to share with you 3 garments. One which I actually planned to do this month, and 2 garments which I actually had planned to create the month before. So let's start with the first one, which is the sweater I'm wearing. I told you about this in my September sewing plans, I think, and now it's been finished. This hoodie is one of my favorite pieces to wear now. It's so warm and cozy, the thick fabric is gorgeous. I don't know if it's just a thick jersey or a Ponte di Roma, however it has a fleecy inside and is super warm and cozy, and I just love wearing it. If it wouldn't get boring, I'd wear it every day. I didn't use a pattern to make this. I copied a sweater I already have in my wardrobe and traced it, and I changed some of the parts. For example, I made the sleeves a little longer, I made the entire hoodie a little longer, and then I obviously changed the neckline because the original hoodie had a hood, of course, but this one hasn't. That's because I didn't have enough fabric. I planned to cut a hood, but I just bought 60 centimeters of fabric, so I just managed to make this collie thing out of it, and it's not an actual hood. But I call it hoodie because I like it. My next make is one I actually told you about in my last sewing plans video / fabric haul, however you want to call it. I like to make these videos more to plan my sewing the month ahead than to document what fabric I bought. Alright, onto my make, which is the plaid blouse I told you I wanted to sew. Or it's more a shirt than a blouse, but here it is. This is made out of pattern number 13, out of the Nähtrends issue 716, which is a translation from the Spanish magazine Patrones. I had quite a hard time sewing this pattern. First, because I'm not used to working with patterns. I usually tend to mess everything up, and if I make everything the right way, the finished garment just doesn't look like in the magazine. Secondly, I had to grade the pattern pieces down because the smallest size the pattern offers is a 38 and I'm something between a 34 and 36, so I just graded it down 1 number. And somewhere on this grading process I must have made a mistake because I ended up with a way too small collar. So that's the reason why the collar looks a little weird. However, I finished the rest of the garment and I really like how the sleeves turned out, but what I didn't like was the bodice. The original pattern didn't have darts at all, so I added some and I think I made it a little more fitted. However, the part at the hips is too small, so I think that's the reason why it looks a little baggy, even though I added darts on the back too, but I don't mind that. I think it's a nice shirt and I will like to wear it. Originally I had planned to make 2 more shirts or blouses out of this pattern, but I don't think I will use this pattern ever again. I had to either incorporate the darts into the pattern or had to fit it every time I use it and create new darts. I'll use patterns with either princess seams or darts for my next blouses. Last but not least, onto the third make of today, which was also a high recommended piece in my wardrobe, which I lacked for too long. It's a classic black skirt. If you watched the rest of my videos, you might know that I bought a black fabric some months ago and I referred to it in the video as textured jersey, only got a remnant of this and it had no tag on it, but I honestly think it's more a crepe than a jersey. At least it exactly looks like the crepe I bought for my blazer. I made this skirt by copying the peplum ruffle skirt, or at least the upper part of it, I sewed 2 months ago because this skirt fitted so well. For that skirt I had used the book Freehand Fashion by Chinello Bali, so I guess you can count that as a make out of that pattern. So at first I made a regular pencil skirt and then marked the part at the skirt that I wanted to substitute through the sheer fabric and added 1 centimeter seam allowance and cut the rest out, and then folded the edges of the crepe fabric under and top stitched them onto the sheer fabric. This was kind of tricky because I had to use an invisible stitch and sew it by hand, because the sheer fabric doesn't stretch the same than the crepe, because the crepe is very stretchy and the sheer fabric is actually a woven fabric, so it's not stretchy at all. But I cut it on the bias. However, I had still problems doing it with my machine, so I just sewed everything by hand. And I think it looks even nicer now because you can't see visible top stitching. So these were all the makes I have to present in this video. I created some other things I want to gift to friends and family, but one of them isn't finished yet, so I will make a separate video with my Christmas makes, which will include a few more items. So as always, give it a thumbs up if you like it, subscribe if you're new here and want to see more of my stuff, comment if you have something to say. I always like reading comments and getting back to you, and I guess I see you soon with my next makes video. Bye!